What is going on, and welcome in everyone. I hope you enjoyed the gameplay. Here lately I've been uploading a little VR content, some a little different. I actually really enjoy VR, but I guess the gameplay isn't the entirety of these videos, but hey, I like to add a little variety from time to time. But today is going to be a video I've been kind of wanting to make for a little while, honestly. I might have to do a second part or like extra parts after this one, introducing some of these characters or maybe just talking more in depth about them. One of the people in this story was one of my roommates that we've had in a previous story time. I'd like to try to maybe tie in some of these people, so I try to use the same like alias names to make it easier to follow. So before we get into it further, like, follow if you like it, if you stay the whole time. Don't forget to do those things. But without further ado, let's jump into this. So back in 2011 through about 2013, this was when I was living essentially a party house. Now, in this house, one of my roommates that we're going to call J-Dub. Now, J-Dub was a bit of a legend. Maybe for most of the wrong reasons sometimes, but honestly, hey, for a lot of the right reasons as well. But he was generally a good dude, and, he had his moments, whatever. See, J-Dub was a simple guy. He was the type of guy, he wanted a cup of Joe. That's what he'd say. You want a cup of Joe? Can I get a cup of Joe? Every morning he's a really standard guy. Later that day he'd switch over to some beers. And dude, the guy would just be kicking it on the front porch, playing his banjo, just enjoying himself. Like, J-Dub was actually an animal on the banjo. He was really good at several instruments, actually, including the harmonica. He would even play the harmonica while playing the banjo. Dude had like a little neck brace that like held his harmonica up, and he would play both. It was fucking epic. Damn, dude. Now that I'm really thinking about it, J-Dub was a low-key fucking legend. But this guy had a goofy streak that's really added to his character. And maybe one of the things about J-Dub was he was kind of a double-sided sword, is like how he was just very trusting with some people. And so, one day, J-Dub is chilling on the front porch. I had been in class, and I don't know what the other roommates were quite doing that day, but he was hanging on the front porch, playing guitar, banjo, doing his thing. Well, later that day I had gotten back, J-Dub was telling me about his day, and he was like, yeah, while I was chilling on the front porch, a guy walked down the street, past our house, and he said he liked my playing. And then after he's like, thank you, whatever, he brings up, hey, yeah, I'm just walking to work, and he asked J-Dub for a ride to his job. Dude, J-Dub's a nice dude. He absolutely obliges and gives this stranger walking down the road a ride. Now, I don't know if it's something I would do, but hey, a nice gesture, for sure, nonetheless. So, J-Dub fills me in a little more about this guy and says his name is Jerry. J-Dub then says that Jerry's like giving a little description about him. He's like, he's in his 40s and he just lived up the street from us a bit. So, maybe a few weeks after this day, I step outside and I'm grabbing a smoke. See J-Dub out there as well. I notice he's just kind of on his phone and a bit quiet. So I asked J-Dub, like, yo, man, what's up? He's like, man, that Jerry guy I met has just, been kind of taking advantage of the ride situation. And I'm kind of taken surprised by this. And I'm like, ride situation? Dude, I thought you were just helping him out like one day, like just doing him a solid. Like, J-Dub hadn't said anything else really about this guy, and I find out this has like been happening for weeks after the first time. Then J-Dub says, nah, man, I gave him my number, and well, he's been hitting me up like every other day for a ride, pretty much every day now, and I'm just getting kind of sick and tired of it. So I asked him, like, yo, dude, how far away is Jerry's job? Like, is it a few minutes away? Because maybe I was assuming, like, hey, it's 5-10 minutes away. Like, that's probably why he's doing it. Dude, turns out this dude is working at a Carrabba's Italian grill that's like 25 minutes away from where we live. He's driving back and forth in total like an hour. So I start getting pissed for J-Dub, right? Because I'm just the type of person, I don't really like people taking advantage of my friends, especially the ones that are already nice and generous, right? So I kind of instinctively watch out a bit. And hey, even back then, I was pretty aware of like other people doing sly or mischievous shit, right? And hey, back then, I was a lot more naive. So I knew if I was catching weird vibes about this situation that it wasn't cool because, hey, I just didn't want my friend getting fucked over being generous, right? So, I let him know, yo, dude, you shouldn't be taking this near middle-aged dude to his job. Like, I know you're doing him a solid and just want to be a good guy, but he's not even hooking you up with gas money, for the favor at least. And hey, nonetheless, like, we're broke college students, just literally barely getting by. So I was already within his perspective. Anyways, I feel like J-Dub had a small talk with him or something to work this out, or maybe he stopped really giving him rides that much at the time. So, J-Dub continued talking to this guy, and one day he decides to go over to Jerry's place to hang out. J-Dub goes over, hangs out, I guess has some beers with him. Turns out, Jerry has a roommate named Leo. Now, J-Dub seems a little more interested in chilling with Leo, more so than Jerry after this. Because Jerry was just, he just had a vibe about him, like a little mild scumbag vibe about him. On the other hand, Leo was a more chill guy. Eventually, we ended up meeting Leo when J-Dub invited him over, and I will definitely say he was more of the chill one out of the two. He listened to a lot of older music and really just liked to have some beers and smoke for the most part. So, as if Jerry taking advantage of J-Dub and his rides weren't already giving me a red flag signal, one day J-Dub invited Jerry over for a little while. Once Jerry comes by, I notice he looks a little irritated. He starts kind of talking about his son. I'm like, oh shit, dude, I didn't know you had a son. He goes on to say, like, yeah, man, I had to leave him, like, several years ago back in New York, and I really haven't spent much time with him since. So after this, Jerry adds on, yeah, man, I'm kind of pissed off at him right now. And I'm like, oh, shit, like, maybe they got some serious shit going on. Jerry goes on, he's just visiting for a few days, but I'm ready for him to leave because he's using my shampoo, my body wash, and now he's eating all my food. And so keep in mind, the way he kind of described this, I was kind of a little more heartfelt. I was like, oh man, maybe he just, he had an issue or something. He had to leave and he feels bad about it. And now he's got his kid here and maybe just something's not seeing eye to eye. But no, this guy's like pissed because he's got to provide his like son only visiting for a few days with, a place to shower and eat some food. The way he was describing it, I was feeling like a little more sincere. And like after he says this, I'm like, thinking in my head, I didn't say this out loud. I'm like, dude, so you kind of just told us you abandoned your son in another state. And, Jerry always had a way of explaining things that it was never his fault, right? And I was like, dude, this guy wants to come see his dad in years, and you're just shitting on him for wanting to come visit? Like, dude, you're this kid's dad. Like, the kid was like a couple of years younger than us at the time. And I was thinking like, Jerry, you've been bumming shit off of a guy who's only like 2 years older than your son, and you're worried about him using your shit? Like, you basically bailed on him from the way I'm looking at the story. At least you could do is give this guy a fucking sandwich and a shower. Like, goddamn, bro. So the next level of escalation was when Jerry started stopping by more frequently. One time we're having a little low-key get-together at my place. My girlfriend at the time had a friend that wanted to have a little birthday celebration. And even though all of us were in college, a lot of people still lived with their parents, so our spot was somewhere where you could have drinks, smoke, and chill. So, like I said, this particular instance, this party wasn't big at all. We only invited a handful of people and kept it a little more reserved because the friend of my girlfriend at the time wasn't in to do anything crazy, so we're planning to keep it very tame and low-key, of course. So everyone starts to get together, and hey, we are having a good old time. We're sipping beers. We're passing a few J's around. We're planning on ordering some dank-ass delivery by the end of the night. Most of the time, we're usually throwing bigger parties at our place, and every now and then it was really nice to host a chill, smaller function. Then we hear a knock at the door, and when I open it up, there stands Jerry, looking tweaked. Now, at the time, I hadn't really seen many people super geeked out of their mind because all I really partooketh in, just some drinking and bud. Maybe occasional party favor at a concert. But hey, that's another video for maybe in the future. But hey, let's stay on topic. So I tell Jerry, yo, we're kind of having a private thing here for a friend. Did J-Dub invite you? He goes on to say, nah, man, I decided to drop by. Anyways, I'm pretty apprehensive about letting him come in, He then just sees J-Dub over my shoulder and kind of just brushes past me and says hey to him, basically kind of inviting himself in. I'm like, hey, fuck it. I'm just here to chill. This is J-Dub's problem if there's any issue, and I'm just trying to have fun right now. My girlfriend at the time had also bought some balloons with her friend's gift. And, the ones actually blown up with, helium. But she also bought some more decorations and other just regular balloons that she was using her breath to blow up for the occasion. So, Jerry's been, basically put out of my mind for a while now, while we continue to play our drinking card game and just chat about. Well, at one point, the birthday girl wins her first game of Presidents and Assholes, the card game we're playing. So she grabs one of the balloons and starts kind of bouncing around and just getting hype, right? And this is about the time Jerry starts to feel like he needs to ramp his creepy tweaker energy up a bit. And so he starts saying something along the lines like, oh yeah, bounce that balloon, baby. And we all kind of just go silent and we're just kind of eyeing each other back and forth, right? And I don't know if it's worth mentioning, but the birthday girl happened to be more religious. Hey, she knew how to have fun, but none of us were really expecting to deal with this creepy tweaker guy, especially someone like her. So, while we're hanging out in my room, just smoking and listening to music, Jerry opens the door and peeks his head in says, hey, what are you guys doing in here? We just tell him like, yo, just listen to music and smoking, dude, and just kind of try to dismiss him. He then kind of presses on like, what are you guys about to do in here? And the way the guy was asking it was like we were about to have an orgy in the room. Like it was like mad sus. So, the birthday girl was definitely kind of more on the attractive side. So, and there were also another couple girls and guys in there as well. Maybe a total of like 5 people chilling. So, dude, I start to get pissed at this point, and I'm not the only one picking up on his creepy ass vibes. So, I get Jerry out of my room and I step out as well. Now, this is kind of where I had my problems with J-Dub. He would let this guy come over, he'd invite him over, and I think J-Dub would, start to pick up on his sketchiness. And, just basically, this guy just really did not belong here. He was hanging around a bunch of 20, 21-year-olds. Dude, it was just awkward. And even Leo, even though he was nice, it was just weird having these, like, 40-year-old dudes around our house. But after J-Dub would kind of realize how creepy or how sketchy Jerry was being, he would then ask me to kick him out, dude. He would ask me to kick him out. And I really just never wanted to deal with this. Hell, I absolutely never wanted him there in the first fucking place. And also, this isn't the first time this has happened with J-Dub. Not even, like, with a different set of sketchy people. But hey, that is definitely a future video, but I'm not trying to digress here. So I'm telling J-Dub, I'm like, dude, I don't feel like taking responsibility for kicking this guy out. So you know what? Just take him in your room or go over to his place and hang. Because, hey, we had this event planned for a little while, and like I said before, he's absolutely murking the fucking vibes. So then J-Dub takes care of him. He takes him home or something. I don't quite remember. But, the roommates kind of hear about this situation, start feeling a type of way about Jerry. And, hey, I assume I will not be seeing him anymore after this incident. Or so I thought. So one day I'm gaming on some Mortal Kombat 10. And I think it's just me and Jake at the house. He tells me that he's going to pop over to Jerry and Leo's place and listen to some old records. I tell him, cool, yo, I'll see you later when you get back, man. So a few hours go by and J-Dub pulls back up to the house and he looks pretty pissed. All the roommates are home by now and J-Dub starts to rant. Dude, Jerry just started smoking crack while me and Leo were listening to records, bro. And J-Dub was really bummed because he said that they were all having a good time drinking, listening to some old records, just jamming out. Up until the point Jerry pulls out the crack pipe. This was pretty much what did it for me with Jerry. Because, I knew J-Dub wasn't cool with that. And, the fact that he's now a crackhead on top of being a bum, like, we all had expensive music equipment. A lot of us were in bands or we just played, instruments. And, Jerry just deciding to randomly show up sometimes, this always kind of had a concern in the back of my mind. Like, damn, I don't want to, like, walk in and all of our stuff is just swiped. Anyways, we tell him, dude, just distance yourself from Jerry. He's a pretty big loser and you have school and other shit to deal with, Just don't pay him any attention. J-Dub was basically on the same page. This is where Jerry starts to become a little more unhinged. Because now J-Dub isn't really giving him rides, and the only person he really will do a solid for is Leo because he just kind of likes him better, I guess, right? One day we're having some friends over again, and it's maybe 10 p.m. We're on the front porch having beers, just talking. We're laughing, having a good old time, and who the fuck walks up our driveway? It's Jerry. At this point, I am done. Keep in mind, there were a few more events in between last time and this time that rubbed everyone that lived there wrong. But I really didn't like how we were having a good time and this guy would show up just tweaked out of his mind, ready to start some BS. And he walks up like he's just gonna grab some of our beers and start hanging out. And immediately I'm like, hey, did anyone tell you to come over, man? He said, nah, man, I'm just here to hang out. I cut him off and I tell him, not today, man. We don't have the energy for it today, man. Sorry. And dude, he loses it when I tell him that. He starts like calling me every name under the sun, basically telling he's gonna whoop my ass and all this. And you know what? I was ready to throw down at this point. I had been waiting to whoop this tweaker's ass for a while now. And the things escalated with him. Every time we saw this guy, he was past due this ass whooping. And everyone pretty much starts diffusing this situation because they saw how pissed I was because he was just coming at me all crazy. So my roommate's like, dude, don't worry about it. We're just going to call the cops. He steps up here and, he hears all of us talking about this amongst ourselves, like we're not being quiet about it. And so he just like storms off. So then I calm down. I'm like, yeah, man, if the cops saw this 40-year-old tweaker, hanging around a bunch of 20-year-olds trying to start some shit, they would see him as out of place for sure. So Jerry walks off and it was a big sigh of relief because this little event pretty much solidified that he wasn't going to be allowed over anymore. Hell, J-Dub was definitely over him because he felt like an asshole for even cursing us with the fucking presence of this guy. Until one night, we're playing some League of Legends. And There's two other roommates with me playing, and we're just drinking and gaming on League, having a good time, as we do. Now, I remember this night being pretty cold, and me and the other two roommates, we're gonna step out, take a break, and have a cigarette. Well, one of our roommates, Al, he opens up the door and he's like, yo, the wind is like absolutely brutal outside right now. We really didn't smoke in the house, but the room Al stayed in, every once in a while, like under these circumstances where it's like super cold, he would be cool with us going in there, closing the door, open a window, and just having a cigarette. So, we're sitting around in Al's room talking about the game of League we just ran, and we hear like a big slam at the front door. To kind of describe the layout of the house here, when you opened up the front door, you'd be immediately in our living room. And from the living room was the little open space where we had our music equipment and everything. And then out from that further extension was the kitchen. And then up against the wall of the kitchen, that was the door to J-Dub's bedroom. So after hearing the slam at the front, we start to look at each other like, well, our other roommate is out of town currently. And hey, it's like past 3 a.m. And we knew J-Dub had class at like 7 a.m. that morning. So we knew J-Dub was just, he was out cold. So we're just like, what's going on? So we put out our smokes and we walk out into the living room. There is fucking Jerry frantically knocking on J-Dub's bedroom door at 3 a.m. And I'm like, hey man, did you just break into our house? The door was closed and did you let anyone know you're coming over? Because J-Dub is not really messing with you right now, and he's definitely asleep. He keeps knocking on the door. He's like, yeah man, yeah, I let him know I was coming over and everything. And I'm just sitting there watching him, and I'm like, I don't know man. And then he keeps pounding on J-Dub's door. He's like, hey man, let me in, your roommates are getting kind of mad at me. And then J-Dub's like, well then fucking leave, bro. Then fucking Jerry starts storming out, and I'm out of my mind done with this guy. I tell him like, bro, I'm about to go get my heater on your ass, dude. Like, heater, I never really say anything like that for the sake of the YouTube algorithm, but I wasn't playing around. This dude just walked up in our house at 3 a.m. like it was his own. So then Jerry really picks up his steps and gets out after I say that to him. So J-Dub comes out of his room and he's looking at us. He's like, man, why'd you guys let him in? Hey, we tell J-Dub, dude, he just straight up walked into our house. Then we fill J-Dub in a little more because he had actually said, yeah, J-Dub said it was cool. I called him and, he knows I'm coming. But keep in mind, we kept watching him because we absolutely didn't trust Jerry at this point. He was telling us that J-Dub said it was cool he could take him to get some beer. Well, then J-Dub tells us, well, that's a lie because his cell phone got cut off like a few days ago. And it's also past 3 a.m. This is the time in my state they quit selling beer at the gas stations. So Jerry just caused all this for nothing. Or hell, dude, maybe he was trying to hit a quick lick on us at 3 a.m. and was just checking around. Who knows? But hey, this was longer than I thought. I hope you guys enjoyed. Man, if you did, please follow and like. But until next time, you stay safe and take it easy, gamers.